Hello there, everyone. In here is, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure that this is going to be complete, but ideally, we're going to have two Uniden waterproof phones in here, one of which being the 5.8 gigahertz self-contained system, in other words, with the phone line plug-in and the base that you can register handsets to, and that is model WXI477, and the other of which being the first generation DECT 6 expansion handset in green, the DWX207. And both of these, I believe, should come with their belt clips as well. And there was actually kind of a fiasco as to exactly what was going to be shipped in this box to me, which I will tell you about after I get this open. I think the end should just come open by itself here. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I guess it got crushed or something. This end has adhesive, though. There we go. It's packed up pretty nicely in here. That's always good. Even though these are like the one telephone that wouldn't need it, they're just so overbuilt. So we have something pretty heavy in this. It's probably both handsets. But there are the charger and base, so that's an excellent sign. Yep. This is kind of ridiculously sticky, but at least it's coming apart okay. So there we have two Uniden waterproof cordless phones. These things feel amazing. They are so sturdy and so heavy. There's the AC adapter for probably this one. Yeah, it fits in there. It's different from the charger that went with my first DWX207. Calls for DC 19 volts. And this outputs AC 7.8 volts. But it is a Uniden, so I wonder if that's maybe for this one. It just says DC 9 volts. Huh. That is bizarre. Well, definitely not plugging this into this telephone unless this is the original charger that came with it. Guess I could probe it with the multimeter. But this one, and it sounds like there were recycling trucks outside, so that's cool. This one is indeed DC 9 volts. And these phones are listed as not working because they were left on the charger overnight, according to the seller, and neither of them turned on. But I had the same exact problem with my first DWX207, and it can be solved by simply replacing the battery. So I'm just going to grab a screwdriver to open these up and see what kinds of batteries they take, then place an order for those, and come back in a few days when they arrive and record some videos of these phones in operation. And we are back, and I've since put a battery into this telephone, which had this old one, which is honestly interesting because it's from 2007, specifically May, yet it was made by GPI. I had no idea they were making batteries this late for Uniden. But, as expected, for nickel metal hydride of this age, it just doesn't work. Now, I did not record the section in which I put in the new battery because, to be honest, I wasn't sure if it would work either, but I think it is. And I'm going to have to go ahead and rename this handset because the display name that it has might actually be a person's last name, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, the battery seems to be holding a decent charge. Now, there is one problem with this already. And that is that, as you might be able to see, one of the backlight diodes right here is burned out. So that's no good. But thankfully, you can at least still see the buttons. It's just unfortunate that it's not in perfect condition. But anyway, I guess we could check the fine feature. The button is made of rubber, which is pretty interesting. That's very rare on a base that only has one button like this. It's almost always made of plastic. Let's turn down the ringer. Ouch, jeez. The speaker sounds pretty good. Seems like it has a nice deep bass tone, unlike almost any of the other phones with these, like this set of 20 ringtones. So this actually is pretty loud. On the low level, it sounds like this, and on the high level, it sounds like this. And it's vibrating the whole phone quite a lot. That's very loud. I think that's the loudest I've ever heard that ringtone. Now the screws are not screwed in because I had the compartment open. That is how it looks on the inside. It's kind of dusty in there. And the belt clip is very nice. It's kind of thin, especially compared to the true 8885, but it barely flexes. This whole thing is just so sturdy. I mean, listen to this. You can hear other things in the room rattling, like this window screen that I have over here. Oh, let me see if I can get this angled. This thing, this was just vibrating when I was hitting the floor with this telephone. This thing's incredible. Alright, now what I'm going to do tonight is first show you this old battery that's in here. This one is made by the Lexel, which I don't recall ever hearing of before. And it was made in mid to late 2009. It's pretty annoying, honestly, how they have it only that, or to where it can have this smaller battery, but I guess it wouldn't really need the 3-cell with one because this is a 2.4 volt phone. But it would still be nice if this one could have been used with the, what is it? I forget what exactly the model is. It's the one that always came with the DCX 150s. Oh well, anyway. I'm going to screw this back in and go ahead and wash the phone since it is kind of dirty. And then I will put this onto the charger for my other DWX207. Hopefully at some point in the future I can find an AC adapter for this one. I did actually probe it with the multimeter and it was reading about 9.8 volts AC. And that's because with the older transformer type adapters, their voltage tends to drop once they have a load put on them. So it needs to start outputting a slightly higher voltage than the rating calls for. I'm not honestly a fan of these screws, partly because they round so easily, and partly because they just don't want to screw in all that tightly. They don't take very much force to screw in, and they're so small and confined in here that it's hard to tell that they're actually rotating, especially when I'm unscrewing them. But this is certainly better than having just one of those battery doors that has a clip that you have to push, like the standard type, I mean. Because obviously that's not going to be fully water resistant. Whoa, jeez. Oh no, this was out of focus the whole time. That's just wonderful. At least the visual process of screwing these things in is probably pretty boring, so you weren't missing too much, I guess. I do apologize for not keeping a closer eye on my camera. Okay, that feels like it's all the way screwed in. Yeah, it's not moving. Alright. Then the last screw. And there it is. Then next, tonight, I'm going to, well, as you can see, this is already back on the charger. So I'm going to let this charge up overnight with the new battery. And also tonight, along with washing this phone, I'm going to clean up the testing phone the rest of the way and let it dry so I can reassemble it tomorrow and get this set up to first get tested from it, then connect directly to it. Okay, and we are back. I think this is 2 or 3 days after I said I'd be back later that day. Not that that's relevant, but hopefully you'll find this funny. Basically, a lot of other things came up, including the fact that the testing phone, or the testing phone to be, needs a lot more in-depth cleaning than I thought it would. I may have to use Goo Gone on it. I'm not sure what exactly is on there. Anyway, I also went ahead and replaced the battery. Well, as I think I showed you, this was the original battery, which was made in May of 2007 by GPI, but unfortunately it no longer works. So I put in this Castar battery I got a few years ago, which I still keep as a testing battery. And of course, being Castar and only a few years old, it no longer works really at all either. It held a charge for maybe a few minutes of talk time, maybe a bit longer, but that's about it. So I have another, I think it's another Castar battery. I don't know how I kept buying those, but... And speaking of batteries, I'm not sure why this isn't here. Let's get this out of the way. I put this other battery in a couple hours ago, and it's still on 1 bar for charging. So it should be a decently high capacity battery. And as you can see, I have a phone line plugged into it. And this is not the regular testing phone line I've been using, because my whole testing setup is completely different now. And in fact, I don't really have one. I made this temporary one over here, which just involves my mini PBX and the True 9485 that I got at the thrift store recently. Even though that's not the testing phone to be, it will certainly do. And it actually does have better recording quality than the phone I bought to use as the testing phone. Not by a huge margin. But anyway. So let's go ahead and get on the phone. Record some testing messages. I'll start by demonstrating the sound quality. The speaker's kind of distorted, but not much, and it's nothing, it doesn't sound like anything's wrong with the speaker itself. Oh, the PBX timed out.
You have successfully completed your test call to area code 540-829-9910. You have successfully completed your test call to area code
that is indeed pretty loud.
540-829-9910.
As usual for these 2000s Uniden phones, the earpiece has fantastic sound quality. The speakerphone, not quite as much, but I'd say it's definitely, it has better frequency response than the phones that this particular handset would have been paired with usually. Now let's see if my preferred testing line is working. Earlier today it was not. And this is getting some interference, probably from both the Wi-Fi and the testing phone. Or perhaps it's this iPhone I'm using to record the video.
The number you have reached.
There we go, it's working.
605-767-2676 is not in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again. Thank you. The number you have reached, 605-767-2676, is not in service.
This is clipping out a little bit at the highest level, and the backlight was getting a little bit dim during the highest peaks. But it really sounds excellent up until the second to highest level. I mean, through that level, the second to highest.
2676.
It's still perfectly clear. And it has an excellent range. It's quite loud, and this is pretty quiet.
The number you have reached, 605.
In case you didn't notice, it did actually transmit properly the very quiet T-carrier noise that you can hear in between repetitions of this recording. Sounds like it was getting some interference there.
672.
Yeah, that must be from the stupid iPhone.
You have reached this recording in error.
What in the world? That is completely ridiculous. I really apologize for having equipment issues that make this part of the video not useful. But let's see if I can get this to work at all. Okay, it is working now.
The number you have reached, 605-767-2676. This recording in error. Please check the number and try your call again. Thank you. The number you have reached, 60.
There's privacy mode, which doesn't do anything in the case that there's only one phone in the system. And you can access the phone book and the call log and redial, which is also pause. And it has 3 different ones in here, all of which are, of course, from this video. I went ahead and checked the phone book log and redials before I started this video, and they were all empty. And hold appears to work just fine. It just gives the hourglass because intercom's unavailable. Now it says out of range. That's weird. But as you can see, it's still on hold. So if we pick back up.
If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your
There it
call
goes.
again. Thank you.
And flash does work. The PBX just isn't
The
compatible
number
with
you
it.
have reached.
And that's about it for the incoming audio demonstrations. Here's just pre-dialing. It gives nice big digits. And as you can hear, Sounds fine, although I'm not sure why it stopped dialing. Oh, it must have been interference. Now it doesn't even want to hang up. Good grief. Yeah, out of range, more like just getting interference. Okay, there's the voicemail access key menu, which we already went through yesterday, or several days ago now. And redial. And for some reason, redial as well down here. Intercom and speakerphone. And you've got the dialing keys and the 4-directional button, which allows you to adjust the ringer volume as well as access the phone book and caller ID log. I must say, this speaker sounds fantastic. It gets extremely loud. Okay, now I'm going to leave some testing messages.
Message 12. This is testing message number 1 from the Uniden WXI 477. It's on talk mode now. And I've switched it to speakerphone, holding it at the same distance. Now speaking at the same volume, I'm holding it at arm's length. And now I will put it down onto the floor and back away from the telephone to see how far away the pickup lasts. If I can get it to stand up, this phone is a pretty heavy one. Okay, that's good enough. I'm now about 4 feet away from the telephone, and now I'm about 6 feet away. Backing across the room, and I'm about 8 feet away, and 9 feet away. Now I'm about 10 feet away from the telephone. Now all the way back to about 12 feet from the telephone. So this picked up all of that perfectly, and this has a phenomenal speakerphone as usual for Uniden, although I don't really expect it to work much beyond the 5 to 6 foot range. And the first message, I'll hang up using the button. Message 13. Do you hear something? What's that noise? Oh no, a wasp! Message 14. For the last message, I'll hang up directly into the base. End of messages.
From those messages, we learned that the pickup is fantastic on talk mode as usual for you. Okay, and as I was saying before, my camera rudely cut me off due to running out of space. What we learned from those testing messages was that the speakerphone pickup sounds great, except for the back across the room. It certainly becomes much muddier when it's anywhere but arm's length away. It sounds much better when you're holding it relatively closely like this. But on talk mode, it sounds fantastic all around. And then when you hang up into the base, when I recorded the message, I noticed that it seemed to kind of clip out on the handset. I think it was out of range. I'm not sure if that's just an interference issue, but it seemed to mainly do that when I hung up directly into the base, which is kind of weird. Then also, especially on speakerphone, on those messages we could hear some interference, which was the typical digital spread spectrum interference that Uniden phones using digital spread spectrum tend to give. And I'm guessing it's because the microphone sensitivity or something about the microphone circuitry was changed for speakerphone, and it's picking up more interference. Which is unfortunate, but at least it's not blastingly loud, I guess. Lastly, let's get a shot of this telephone ringing. That will conclude this portion of the video, the checkout of the WXI 477. So next, let's go to the checkout of the DWX 207. Unfortunately, I do not have an adapter for this phone at this time. So here's its charger, which will remain unused for now. But I do have another charger I can put this into. But first, I already have a spare battery. And this one was made by the Castar as well. I'm not sure where all these came from. Yeah, apparently it does not seem to have any charge. So I'll throw this on the extra charger and come back once it powers up. It is the next morning, and the handset is powered on just fine. Because of course, why wouldn't it? It's a Uniden. But anyway, it does seem to be working. It's of course searching for its original base. And I did already check that it can hold another one. So I've got that one ready to go, and the manual pulled up on my computer for how to register it. If the other base does not have an LCD display, disconnect the base AC adapter, then press and hold Find Handset or Find while you reconnect the adapter. Keep pressing Find Handset or Find until the Charge in Use LED starts to blink. On the handset, press and hold pound until the handset beeps and displays handset registering. When the handset finishes registering, it shows registration complete in the display. Alright, and here we go with the second attempt, because I took too long to get the handset in registration mode, and the base timed out. This should work now. As you can see, the charge light is still flashing in the handset. There it goes. Registration complete. And this counts as handset number 5 because this base originally came with 2 handsets, and I had to register this one twice, I think. So I've got to clear out the registration on this before it fills up. It actually came to me only with 1 original handset, which was handset number 2, of course. So yeah, I'm definitely going to have to clear that out before I can really get any others for this. It, of course, could hold 1 more, being a Uniden DECT 6 when they can hold 6. But I think it would be a lot easier to keep track of them if they all just had the regular numbers. 1 for the one that sits on the base, 2 for this one, and 3 for the new one. So there it is, handset number 5. We've got new caller ID logs. I just finished clearing out the redials and caller ID log and phone book. It's got a fair number of calls. The 30 call log had entries from late to mid-November, going back in time. Although, of course, I don't know what year it was, but the redials included 2 7-digit numbers, so it couldn't have been too recently. So let's start by going into intercom, which wouldn't really do much, but it's just cool to see that it would work. Waterproof number 4 is this one. Which is out of charge. It should come on in a few minutes. So let's go into the menu on this one. And it's on flicker. Oh cool, personal ring was on this one. Although, for some reason... Oh, actually, no, I do like to keep these on personal ring. For some reason, the single phone book entry did not have a personal ring selection. I don't think I could name 2 of them the same thing. So I'll call this one... Let's see if there's enough space for this. I don't think there is. Well, let's see if it'll work with two with the same name. Okay, it will. Yeah, I guess since they have different numbers. Okay. And that's it for the handset menu. Answering, that's not specific to this handset. Day and time. Since I just plugged this in, it defaulted, so it is currently Friday at 10:59 a.m. Okay, that is it for the menu. Let's see what level the ringtone was set to initially. Yep, low. That's so loud.
The number you have reached, 605-767-2676, is not in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again. Thank you. The number you have reached, 60...
Leave it to Uniden to make a telephone that when you turn up the earpiece all the way, maintains perfect sound quality with no distortion at all.
Reach this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again. Thank you. The number you have reached. Reach this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again. Thank you. The number you have reached, 605-767.
Still sounds quite good all the way up on speakerphone,
Is not in
although
service.
it's not nearly as loud
If
as
you
the
feel you have reached
5.8
this recording
gigahertz
in
one.
error, please check the number and try your call again. Thank you. The number you have reached, 60...
Do you hear that? There's like this weird, I don't know how to describe it, this weird noise, kind of like when it was flashing. That's weird, but I guess it doesn't affect anything.
Friday, 11:01 a.m. No messages.
Alright, connects to the machine just fine. So now let's leave a testing message.
2 new messages and 14 old messages. Message 1. This is a testing message from the new Uniden DWX207. I'm using it on talk mode right now. And now it's on speakerphone, being held at the same distance. And I can see my old one has just powered on. Now I'm holding this one at about arm's length and speaking at the same volume. So I'll put it down on the floor. Back away. Go across the room. And that's 4 feet away from the telephone. Backing slowly away. Friday, 11 a.m. Message 2. Okay, unfortunately, it sounds like the speakerphone pickup may not be quite as phenomenal as most Uniden phones, because the answering machine cut me off right when I got to 10 feet away, which means it wasn't picking up a few feet before that. I am currently on speakerphone, holding it fairly close to my face. So, lastly, what I'll do with this message is hang up into this phone's charger, but since there's no adapter for it, I'm going to have to also press the button. Goodbye. Friday, 11:01 a.m. End of messages.
I guess it didn't sound too much different from hanging up with the button anyway, because all that rattling noise was present throughout the entire message, and that was because the battery cover on that telephone is not screwed in. I didn't realize it would make such a huge noise. Okay, lastly, let's do a testing call, and I'm going to change the ringtone. I know I just set it to clatter, but I think my old waterproof one is also on clatter, so I'll put the new one on flicker. Oh, great. I knew I shouldn't have pressed speakerphone. It seems to be working just fine, and now you can hear my voice coming through the testing phone. And that will conclude this double initial checkout of two very cool Uniden telephones, the DWX207 and WXI477, both with their respective belt clips, which is really nice. And unfortunately, both needing new batteries and one needing a new adapter. But it's very nice to have both of these phones, and I really always wanted a self-contained waterproof system. So, this is just really cool. And thank you very much for watching.